In January of 2008, God impressed on the hearts of Tim and Sandy Hewitt the need for pastors of small churches to have an opportunity to take time off for physical and spiritual renewal. Having been involved in a solo ministry for 12 years, they asked themselves, wouldn't it be beneficial to provide for a pastor's physical, mental, and spiritual health prior to him experiencing complete exhaustion and discouragement? BEM was conceived for the express purpose of offering encouragement to pastors of understaffed churches through preaching, teaching, exhorting, counseling, and loving care. A ministry offered to churches at no charge. They offer the pastor and his family opportunity to take a predetermined amount of time off for physical and spiritual renewal, while the Hewitts assume responsibility for the ministry during their absence. It is imperative that this service be offered at no charge due to the need for the pastor to continue receiving his salary.
Tim was introduced to me by my son-in-law, who's a missionary with Baptist Mid-Missions. They were acquainted with the Hewitts up in Indianapolis and had met with them a number of times. Prior to their coming, I did have some apprehensions, I suppose as any pastor would have, wondering about the teaching. Would it really be biblical, the kind of teaching that our folks were used to? And also how well they would respond to our people and our people would respond to them. But once they had arrived on the scene, all of my apprehensions were dissolved. The teaching was excellent, and also the people related very well with the Hewitts, and the Hewitts related very well with our people. They did much more than I had expected. The Hewitts not only taught and preached in our place, but they arranged different things to do with different groups within our church, the young people and the elderly citizens as well. And this, of course, were bonuses as far as I was concerned. This was more than we were expecting them to do. In addition to doing the preaching and the teaching and working well with our people, they also did work around the building and also at our house and at our parsonage. And I highly recommend Tim and Sandy. Not only will they sustain the ministry you have, but I'm sure they will add to it, and your people will be delighted by the ministry, and you'll be able to get that much needed rest that you're looking forward to.
We first heard of Barnabas Enrichment Ministry through our mission board. We were looking for someone to come and carry the church ministry while we ran our Bible camp. The mission had heard of their work in Utah and recommended that we contact them. I spoke to Tim at length and felt very much at ease to extend the invitation to come and serve at Berean Baptist Church in Kenora, Ontario. He sent an extensive questionnaire which generated further questions and discussion on both our parts. Tim made it clear that he considered his role as one of continuing our ministry, not necessarily of changing it to suit his preferences. A concern we had before Tim and Sandy arrived was how they would adjust to a small and struggling work. They were very understanding and from the beginning eagerly worked at getting involved in the people's lives. Tim's messages were an encouragement both to the people and to Lois and I. He saw where the people were at, what they needed, and brought God's word to address those needs. They came alongside the people, encouraging them to grow in their walk and build friendships with each person.
Personally, they were a constant encouragement to us. We laughed together, we prayed together, and we bore burdens together. They were also a huge blessing to our children, investing time and involvement in their lives as well. Tim and Sandy have the gifts needed to come into a church and see what the needs are, and then graciously and purposely go about meeting those needs. They are humble and gracious in how they interact and come alongside. They were always willing to help in whatever needs arose, even when the need didn't necessarily fit in their job description. An example of this was when our speaker for the junior girls fell through. Sandy immediately offered to step in and teach. We felt that may not be the best for the church as our time would be divided, but when we still didn't have a speaker 2 weeks before camp was to start, we approached her again with the possibility. She did not hesitate or complain about the time restraint, but immediately and with much enthusiasm began to prepare her lesson. She did not just throw something together. She was prepared in such a way that you would have thought she had known for months that this was what she was to do.
This was the way both of them took to any task that was before them, whether it was big or small, or very visible, or totally behind the scenes. We would wholeheartedly endorse the Hewitts and Barnabas Enrichment Ministry.
The only downfall is, when they leave, you have to say goodbye.
Our desire is to be a Barnabas to pastors by encouraging them in the work of the ministry. We also desire to encourage the church to love their pastor, to support him in his ministry, to uphold him in prayer, and to consider him worthy of double honor. If through our ministry we can encourage a pastor so that he does not fall away from the ministry, well, then we have done our job.